Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we are looking at the Omega Seamaster 300 Spectre 007 Limited Edition, 41mm in stainless steel. You can see this one of 7007 Omega Seamaster 300 Limited Edition on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it if you like, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. The Seamaster 300, a revival of the very first CK2913 Omega Seamaster professional from the late 50s, joins forces with 007 in the movie Spectre, and it's a perfect pairing because it represents Daniel Craig's Bond going out on top in his last role as 007, and arguably the finest effort in Omega's now 20-year partnership with the James Bond franchise. You can see on my wrist 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. This one wears with classical proportions, but just enough absolute size to have a bit of modern muscle, kind of like Craig's take on Bond himself. The watch is 48mm from extremity of lug to lug, so it does have good presence but not overwhelming size. It's a large watch, but it's not what you would call an oversized sports watch. Now, it does have a little bit of girth in the tradition of the original. This one's 15mm thick, so it sits pretty loud and proud, so to speak, on the wrist for a watch with a nominal measurement of 41mm across the round portion of the case. So this one may be a little bit of a challenge to pull off in a tuxedo, but Craig does it, so you have no excuse. I will say that it has satisfying heft to it, just enough to make you feel like you're wearing a premium product, but not enough to be an encumbrance. Now you can see that this one is actually on a unique 007 limited edition NATO-style strap. Let me see if I can get the 007 logo in here for your viewing pleasure. There it is. The bottom line is that this watch also features a full bracelet with a dive extension and a twin trigger deployant. It's a fine piece. It's a really cool piece to have in your back pocket, but if you want to go full tactical, you have to go with the NATO, so that's how I'm going to show this one off. Now, the NATO is also very versatile. Like the bracelet itself, you can jump into the water with no fear here. Total water resistance as well as immense versatility. This is the kind of watch that is carefree, unpretentious, and even on the NATO, probably welcome in any company, even in formal attire. It's a little bit counterculture, but it's very much in right now to wear a stylish watch in a suit with a NATO. Of course, if that doesn't suit you, pun intended, you can put it on the bracelet. And this watch comes with a unique full accessory set that includes strap-changing tools. So if you want to transition between a strap and a bracelet, you're good to go. You're also good to go if you want to size it yourself. Now, everything that touches the skin here is textile, but of very high quality. The strap features a nice contrast to add a bit of differentiation and also a vintage look. All of the individual buckles are finished to a standard that you're unlikely to see on any kind of aftermarket NATO strap. They're faceted, they're alternately brushed and polished, and of course they're highly branded with Omega and 007 logos. But the focal point here is going to be the case, the dial, the bezel, and the unique dedication on the caseback. The Bond-specific content should be called out first. I want to mention that the standard Seamaster 300 is different in a few respects. First and foremost, the bezel is distinct. Both bezels feature liquid metal, that is to say, it's a ceramic insert that is filled with what Omega calls a sort of amorphous metallic metal that has a grain that allows it to bond permanently to the ceramic. So rather than having metal pressed into the wells that represent the Arabic numerals, it's melted in, and then it more or less becomes a single unitary piece. The entire bezel insert acts as one piece, even though part of it is ceramic, part of it is liquid metal. Very durable, but differently calibrated. The standard watch features calibration 0 to 60. This one features calibration 1 to 0. And it is a bidirectional rotating system, vintage style. The very first Seamaster professionals did not feature the unidirectional rotating dive bezel. For that matter, neither did the Rolex Submariners of the period. So in a little vintage nod, Omega gives this one a two-way ratcheting bidirectional bezel. Moving inboard, other Bond-specific features of this edition include the lollipop hand. Now that is historically correct. Different variants of the first CK2913 featured variously triangular indices at the end of the seconds, or the lollipop, or the lancet. What we have here is the lollipop, by far the most evocative period piece of the original equipment offerings, as well as a quirky and distinctive element to set the Bond edition apart. Now, the standard Seamaster 300 also has the numeral 12 at the index at 12. This one features a large Omega logo and marquee, so you can tell it's a Spectre, but it's not overtly co-branded. It's something that's discreet, something that's fun, and oddly enough, in creating the Bond Tribute Edition, Omega created a watch that's even a little bit closer to that original CK2913 Seamaster Professional, so it's also a closer historical reference than the mass market version of the watch. Now on the Caseback, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see there is Bond-specific dedication, limited edition, individual numbering, mention of Spectre. The rotor itself also features a little bit of custom graphic to it, but you're not going to be able to see it too easily below the NATO. Sorry guys, I'd like to help you out there, but I can't deliver everything in a single video. You're either going to see it on the wrist or you're going to see it apart, and I'd rather you see it on the wrist. The watch does feature a little bit of depth to the dial that's quite unique. Aside from the Bond-specific elements, I want to call out the fact that the luminescent triangular indices are actually stepped down below the main plane of the bezel. It's hard to capture, but from this angle you get a little bit of it near the index at 1 o'clock and 12. It's almost like a Panerai sandwich dial where you have the luma underneath a stencil with the cutouts for the indices, and that's what you're getting here, that simulated aged radium style patina luminova, and it is a luminova designed to look like aged radium on a vintage watch. It is just below the plane of the dial, so in the absence of a date window, Omega adds a little bit of visual interest, a change of plane and texture with that sort of stepped sandwich style dial arrangement. Now you can't see much of it here, and I do apologize for that, but there's no shortage of photos on the internet, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Omega Master Coaxial Caliber 8400. It is based on the 8500 family of exclusive Omega in-house movements. They are built for ETA, but exclusively for Omega, and I can tell you that they are some of the toughest and most accurate automatic sports watch movements around. It takes the George Daniels coaxial design with its alternative escapement technology, and it raises the game with anti-magnetic silicon balance and hairspring. Omega calls it SI14, and it's not an anti-magnetic technology, it is an amagnetic technology. Your Rolex Milgauss, your Panerai PAM 389, those are anti-magnetic watches. You can't stick those things in an MRI and expect them to keep working. This you can. Bond style, it is completely resistant to magnetic fields. Heck, I don't care if you're near a particle collider at CERN, this thing is going to hold up, and it's been tested to those limits. Moreover, with a 60-hour power reserve, courtesy of twin mainspring barrels, like 007, this has exceptional endurance. So even if you were to put it down for a day or two, it's not going to stop ticking. It's going to keep excellent time to COSC standards. Moreover, with a full balance bridge, dual anchored on both sides, completely free sprung, it has that kind of modern Rolex style durability to it. So if you shock it, if you traumatize it a little bit, if you're a Bond style, active lifestyle dude, this watch is built to suit. The first coaxials were fine, but not necessarily tough, and that changed in 2007. With the addition of modern SI14 technology, Omega's redoubled the toughness of one of its toughest and most accurate movements. It also features gorgeous decoration with arabesque instead of Côte de Genève, a sort of swirled arabesque Côte de Genève in a sort of angled sunburst pattern, as well as black oxidized screws rather than the more common polished or blue oxidized. This is an outstanding example of a no-holds-barred sports watch that's also an evocative and timeless historical tribute and a coveted limited edition. 7,007 pieces may sound like a lot until you consider that right now this watch is completely sold out, and when Bond fans get their hands on these, they tend to hang on to them. But you can get your hands on this one on our website, watchyouwant.com.